Hello, and welcome back to another Pauper video. So I've not recorded anything for quite a while. Obviously, we had the kind of bannings, unbannings. Things got shaken up quite a bit. I've kind of not really known what I wanted to play as much. Obviously, there were lots of things to try, but nothing I kind of really stuck to for very long. And then basically on my journey through all the different decks in Pauper, I've kind of settled back onto something in mono red that I've been finding quite fun. So I'm going to try and record a video of this and then show off kind of what I think is the kind of neat idea. So this is basically the burn shell that people will be pretty familiar with. We're playing 12, lightning bolt, galvanic blast effects in the main deck. I'm only playing the Tomb Raider because if you can put Goblin Guide in your deck in this format, I think in your red aggressive deck in this format, you probably should. And then Percussionist, because this is kind of on theme for the deck. And then I'm playing 2 and the Festivities, which I liked when I was playing mono red previously. Obviously, Kodorth has gone, so some of the pressure for this in the matchups faded away, but it's still a very powerful card when it's sometimes it can do exactly what you need it to. And then obviously the 4 synthesizers. But essentially, I guess the idea and what we're trying is playing the full 8 Recks Impulse, Wrens Resolve, and the 4 synthesizers with Burning Prophet. So this is something I saw in Kalakai's kind of Storm videos that he was playing a while back. Essentially just the amount of card selection that a Burning Prophet, or even better, 2 Burning Prophets gets you is incredible. And then the amount of card draw that you can have when you've essentially got these 12, again, kind of draw 2 effects, is really powerful. You've got a load of cheap interaction. So I've kind of called this mono red burn / mid range. In game 1, especially, we look very similar to the burn deck, but actually we are quite a lot slower. We see a lot of cards. We've got a lot of card selection, and that's kind of more how it plays out, or how I choose to play it out. Again, I think you get quite a lot of value from this, where opponents don't quite realise what you're trying to do. Then to support this, I've got 4 screds. We've only got, 13 snow-covered mountains, so we're not an amazing scred deck, but it's just something that could potentially kill a Chrysalis and avoid us having to 2-for-1 ourselves. Obviously, the 4 red blasts for blue decks. If you are trying to be very grindy with this kind of Wrens Resolve, Reckless Impulse, I guess, and synthesizer package, I think you need Relic of Progenitus so you don't get hosed by Blood Fountain. Blood Fountain refurb is just too strong, otherwise that's too much card advantage back at you. And then I've got 2 campfires. So this is partly, again, for a bit of repeated life gain in the burn Rakdos matchups. Partly because you're going to see so many cards and put them through your, cycle through your deck. You might need to crack a campfire at some point to loop all this through again. Hilariously, as I've kind of mentioned, you get so many scry effects if you stick a Burning Prophet that you essentially end up with, I think, it feels like the entire bottom 10 cards of your deck can be lands at some point. So we're not actually fantastic at campfire in that respect. We get to put a load of good cards back in, but there's a load of chaff still in there. But again, it's a life gain effect that you can play in a mono red deck. And then I didn't really know what to have for like a last card, so I've put in a Commodore as a Monarch. Obviously, in a deck that's trying really hard to play these exile effects, you really need a low curve, which is why we've got the 4 chain lightnings as well in the main deck. They don't really fit the plan that we replace with screds if we need to be slower. I say don't really fit the plan. Game 1, the plan is to just be the burn deck, and then we've got the option to go slow if we need to. So the Commodore as a 4-drop really doesn't kind of fit in, but I can't think of another, essentially cheap interactive or single cheap interactive spell that I want. Everything else is kind of four ofs. So we are on the play in round 1. Gonna snap keep this. So as I mentioned, we are kind of a slower build of a burn deck, but we are still in the business of burning people. I think it really helps everyone boards in a bunch of Weather the Storms, and then you go over the top of them. It's kind of part of the plan, part of what we've got going on. Kind of. Is this a tough choice as to whether we just get the Flame Breather down now or play a Tomb Raider? If we slam the Tomb Raider, then we don't have to worry about a sprite on it later on. But it's got to just be the more mana efficient Flame Breather, right? Let's attack first. Then if they have an intruder, we can potentially save ourselves from a blowout. And I'm guessing after all this is just going to be like the blue terror deck, not fairies anyway. Although they didn't play a cantrip, so just high tide? Just high tide. Okay. Well, that was a very good draw. We are just mashing in for as much damage as we can. And hoping they don't turn 3 us. So this is part of where I've been kind of struggling, where I was kind of saying about struggling bouncing around decks for a little while. Okay, looks like they're going for it. Was that I kind of, okay, that's a pretty good draw from them. That's kind of at the top end of their range. They've got the psychic puppetry. I guess we're okay. I was going to say, I guess one of the things we could have is Galv blast down a guy in response to a snap, but I don't think they're necessarily locked in on playing snap anyway. Yeah, so this is basically over. But yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so one of the reasons I was bouncing around decks for a while was I didn't really know what I wanted to play. Kind of. I think the first thing I went to was actually getting to play Boros Bully again because I love that. I love that deck. But obviously there is it's very slow. It's going to struggle in this kind of matchup. My take is that if High Tide can do this on turn 3 consistently, obviously that's way too strong. Turn 3 combo decks that a lot of decks can't interact with is just too much. But obviously they've got a small fail case. Got to think with them hitting the 2 ideas unbound early on, they are pretty much locked in to get there. I've not actually played against this deck all too often, so I think I'll give them a couple more spells to. This is the return it to your hand one, right? Yeah, so now they stack their deck however they want. And this is infinite mana. So that's pretty good. So we can concede now. So we do have Red Blast for this matchup, and we can try and be pretty quick, and hope that between those two things we will, improve our odds. Don't think we need End the Festivities, and probably cut one of each resolve, and just try, we're just trying to go under them, erase them, aren't we? So, well, I thought doing the turn 4, turn 4 clock on the play for mono red is kind of what we are in the business of doing, but obviously turn 3 is pretty good. So I'm going to keep this. A bit tricky with the impulses and holding up Red Blast, but so let's attack. I think we're kind of stuck. I say stuck like it's the end of the world. I think we're playing the Prophet. If they do have a blue blast, that's kind of is what it is. No. And then I guess I'm thinking that we probably can't afford to hold up Red Blast on turn 3. Or kind of go too far of our way to do that. I think we have to, at least give ourselves one more turn to put a clock on them. If depending on what we hit, we might be able to, but let's bottom this. But if I see, so synthesizer, I'm not kind of inclined to cast anyway. Obviously, we can't exile anything for value, and we'll do that next turn anyway. So if we chain lightning them now, we get an extra damage on a scry, and then we keep the red blast up for next turn. And again, if they turn 3 us twice, then that's just going to be what it is. Do you want to keep this? I think with the synthesizer, we don't need this. We are we'd much rather draw a red blast, say, than exile it to a synth with no targets on our turn. So Giga Drowse to prevent some damage. Again, the fact that they're preventing damage this turn kind of worries me that they're just going to kill us again. But yeah, I guess in this kind of non-interactive matchup from their end, we're kind of seeing this as a thermoalchemist, for example, with upside. Speaking of which, so we lead on the synth. Do I want to take that? So I'm thinking that I kind of want to play the Flame Breather, and I definitely want to hold up the Red Blast this turn. So actually exiling a land isn't the end of the world, and then I've got the Wrens Resolve as my gas for next turn. Bit of a weird one when I've already got the Furnace in play, but with Furnace in hand that I could play. So again, interesting they Giga Drowsed us last turn. To prevent, was it like 3 damage? Do I want to counter this or counter the High Tide itself? To be honest, I don't really know how Splice onto the Arcane works. Right, so back again. What I was checking is if this gets a Psychic Puppetry, for example, and I counter whatever they cast and splice onto, then the Psychic Puppetry stays in their hand. So I think the fact that this could get a High Tide or Puppetry means I'm incentivized to counter this one. Again, we get a scry and do our 1 damage. The scry could be useful. think we bottom this with, looking for more than, well, basically any spell is a damage, so you don't really need that on a creature. And obviously with Wren's Resolve, flip a, sure, Wren's Resolve and flip another blast. That's good. I think if they're going to dispel, we'd kind of rather get that out of the way now. So let's lead on the Wren's Resolve. We get a scry. We don't want the Flame Breather, just 2 mana intensive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like we're just going to be a damage, or 2 damage short. And I'm assuming that they can kill us kill us on turn 5. We know they've got 1 High Tide. They've had quite a few draw spells to try and find a second. So they pick up the High Tide. I've not actually seen this Flood of Recollection. Sure. So they've got 1 Puppetry. If they find another one, we're pretty super dead. So I found lots of mana. Again, I think we're pretty super dead, so this can get another Puppetry or an Ideas Unbound. Yeah, just the Ideas Unbound. Which I guess is plus 1 mana. Oh, they fizzled. Alright. Well, I will stop moaning about our game 1 where we kind of, where I think they ran very well. Here they ran kind of poorly. So again, I don't think any changes. We're just on the plan of try and get them dead and try and interact with a with Red Blast when we can. And on the get them dead plan, this is where having a bunch of Goblin Guides in the deck is good. It's very helpful. That's again my level of analysis. Don't necessarily want all these lands. I'm just thinking like we had a few, so last turn if we could have found a chance to get another 2 damage somewhere, but I think all the lands that we kept on top, there wasn't really an option to take a spell over it, I think. So I think again where we just stuck Flame Breathering. Again, I don't think trying to hold up mana on turn 3 is a, especially if we're only pretending to have interaction. We'll only try and race their like turn 4 hands. So if we want interaction, the best we can do is Wren's Resolve, hit a Red Blast. Or else we can Tomb Raider, kind of synth and Galv Blast them. I think we Wren's Resolve. I think this is just the most best use of that mana anyway. So kind of lost the 2 mana in terms of actual amount of damage that it contributed to for us last turn, but what from here? We got a decent shot at killing them next turn. 4 damage, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with. I know we need another artifact for Metalcraft. So how can we maximize our chance of killing? So 4, 6, 8. If we play this and then play these two. So we synth first, hit an artifact. This is lethal. Oh no, sorry, this is lethal, right? So 4, 6, 8 from the Flame Breathers, 10 from the Galv Blast damage. So I think we've got to go for that. Or if we play this now, so if they have a Giga Drowse, obviously they can tap our team down. We'll play this now. I'm not sure why it would matter. Cool. So now we can Galv Blast them if they try and go off. Basically, if they tap all their mana, we Galv Blast. We don't want to obviously do it in their turn and get dispelled again and they lose at 1. Ah, we just got there, So back again, keeping double Tomb Raider hands. So not sure if there's going to be Affinity or like Madness. Might be Madness still on Galv Blast. I think most Madness decks I've seen lately haven't been on Galv Blast, but so I'm going to say this is probably more, well, this seems more likely to actually just be Affinity. How does that change how we want to play? They're holding up potentially a Galv Blast, so I think we just do another Tomb Raider. Get in whilst the getting is good. Kind of don't hang out the Flame Breather to get Galv Blasted and lose the trade on mana. Yep. So this is kind of one of these matchups. So it could still be John Gardens as well, I guess, to the other option. Yeah, just Grixis. So apart from the Kenku Artificer, this is kind of a matchup where I'm going to be thinking of sneaky sideboard into just a really slow Relic of Progenitus kind of plan. How much burn do we want to throw at them now? I feel like it's going to be hard not to kill this so that they don't have the option to Reckoner's Bargain gain 1,000,000. So do I want to Lightning Bolt them anyway? It's a shame that we can't do that with the Flame Breather in play. I think I'll hold the Bolt then. And see what we draw. So that does help. So let's get this dead. And then play the Mountain. And if they refurb us, I think I'm probably going to end up discarding this Bolt. And then we're kind of setting up to Wrench Resolve and potentially Flame Breathe next turn or something. Let's not auto yield to too much and get ourselves into some trouble that we don't need to. So they keep one on top. So that's pretty nice. So do we still Wrens off first? Do we Flame Breathe? I think I don't really want to play a Flame Breather without holding up the bolt for like a Crackland Shaman, maybe. I don't know if that's being too greedy. So let's Wrens Resolve. And that's kind of like the perfect outcome. We've got the Great Furnace as our refurb bait in hand. Just flip a card that's going to draw another card when it dies. And then next turn we can hold up, we can do the Flame Breather lightning bolt thing. And again, we've got so many of these kind of draw to effects to hit. Yeah, I'd much rather them gain 1 life off a spell bomb than 7 off of a Mirror Enforcer, I've got to say. Happy with how that one played out. Obviously we did use 2 cards to kill it, which isn't great, but now he's back. So now I think we Flame Breathe. Getting our extra 1 damage. And then we can play the... Oh, so we've got 4 damage from the Galv Blast. So we can just clear the way, do a point attack for another 3. But I almost don't think we need to. Again, maybe I'm playing wrong on this because they've got so many like spot removal spells for the Flame Breather. But I kind of like having protection against a having some kind of protection against Crackland Shaman. You know, if it sticks, I guess if it sticks and we Galv Blast. I know because this would take damage as well. So okay. So now if we try and bolt this, they can draw spells in they can draw in response. So we do 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13. So they're dead if they don't have anything. I think we're just bolting face and doing this as a kind of mana efficient end of turn. They kill one of these, they can turn off our Metal Craft, but they let us untap, implies they don't have any spot removal. So again, if they had spot removal, I don't think there's a chance they let us get in all these extra points. They want to sack this to gain 7 life. It's not killing a creature anyway. So I'm not a believer in whatever they're trying to tell me. Yes, they stay alive, but we still get in for a chunk of damage. We play out Furnace. So yeah, this is a good spot for them to Clan Toxin Analysis us, but at least we get 1 card back out of it. And obviously if that's a Reckless Impulse, Wrens Resolve, we get to see a billion more cards. As is, we're drawing 2 cards in our turn from the normal card and the furnace, just trying to find more or less any spell. Again, talking all this, basically draw 2 Tomb Raiders every game. Playing quite slow again. So, I mean, this could be a Crackland Shaman if they find one, but there's no life gain to go with it. Refurb to draw a card, so you can block to prevent 2 damage. I like our chances of killing them here. Yeah, it is nice. Oh no, we're in trouble. Oh no! So how do we attack now? I don't really want to trade the Tomb Raider for this. I could attack with these 2. They probably block here, take 1. I guess what's the Tomb Raider doing other than attacking here? It's not really getting much better, it's just sticking around to die to a Crackland Shaman with Tox Analysis on it. Just it gives them a really easy block for an extra point of damage that, I mean, the point could matter. Okay. Yeah, I kind of do want to leave this at home, but they've just got so many of their draws that blanket next turn that trading it for a point of damage, whilst not fantastic, might have to do. So drawing the Wrens resolve was great. Everything after that kind of went badly. Opponents drawn a million cards here. So we don't actually have any artifact hate in our sideboard or in our deck kind of for this. So we're kind of clearing them out the hard way and hoping they don't have a Kenku. Kenku Familiar would be pretty rough to deal with. Maybe that's a problem. I was thinking of having like 1 cast into the fire in the sideboard in that slot that I'm currently running the Commodore, but either way, as mentioned, we're going to sideboard in a bunch of relics and just try and kill and then exile all their creatures. Well, might as well play that. Kill this. Yeah, go 2. I don't think we want to play out the Flame Breather just to the board. There's only 1 refurb in here, so it's not they can get back to and wipe out our hand, but I'm thinking if I have this in hand, it gives us more option at chaining a few spells together. If we play it out, it just dies immediately. I'm not really putting much stock in getting in for damage. If the first creature blocks this, right, their creature probably doesn't really want to block the Percussionist and flip us over another burn spell. Not a great time to draw the what's it called? The Burning Prophet that I was on about. Kind of wanting to play this deck for, but so it goes. So they can take both of these out of a hand now with the refurb. That would also get back the Mirror Enforcer. So obviously If it was me, I'd be doing that, yeah. But keeping this has kept card, spent a lot of their mana for them. Okay, so if they do get they do have another Reckoner's Bargain, then I would say we're in pretty deep trouble. If not, we've got 2 more looks at a bolt, so okay. I don't feel too bad about this now. Maybe I should have maybe I should have attacked first, so that we had the option of. Yeah, I think I should have attacked first so that we had the option of flipping over a spell before this. Or if they take one, then we've got the trigger kills them as well. The trigger killing them as well doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm not going to respond to that because we don't need the extra point. If they block, then we've got a chance at finding another burn spell to lock it up. Or another mountain. The mountain's less good than a burn spell. So I think after all this, we just have to bolt them now and die to a bargain. See, they're telegraphing it pretty hard, but I don't see a world in which they're ever, tapping out of 2 mana again. If we go to their turn, they just get to blood token, draw more cards, have more shots at this bargain. So let's just fire it off. No. I'm quite surprised if this works. I don't think they necessarily often play 4 of this effect. But, so then they do have the Kenku. Sorry, more than 2 of this effect. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. But I'm back to thinking I should have flame breathed post combat rather than before, for what that's worth. So I want relics because we're just going to try and manage their graveyard, stop them from being able to use Blood Fountain. I don't want Chain Lightning for this matchup. I'm not kind of interested in slowly in kind of doming them, let's say. Do I want some red blast for Kenku? I think we exile so many cards that exiling the wrong thing at the wrong time is really punishing. That's one of the reasons I like the relics so much, is you can always play it. Whole thing of having so many 1-drops in our deck. Don't think I'm so far leaning that way. Can cut the end of the festivities. They can kill multiple refurbs, but the refurbs are going to die to something or other anyway. And then if I have 2 screds, this can get up to 4 damage relatively quickly and actually be able to kill a Mirror and Force from one go. I think that's better than the Chain Lightnings that can come back at us. Don't think we need the campfires. Maybe have one camp. Oh no, because they've got their own spell bombs. They might not even end up cutting because it's food for Crackland Shaman. The Crimson Fleet Commodore seems a bit of a liability in this matchup where we introduce the Monarch and then they steal it with the refurb and we die. Double Tomb Raider every time. So I'm not a huge fan of this. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of Scred for this matchup. It's just that I think it's better than Chain Lightning, and it kind of fits our plan of one for wanting their creatures, and then stopping them from being able to recur with a. Wow, so hasty, so hatey. Should have played Tomb Raider, I guess. Yeah, and basically we turn off the blood fountains, and that's the start and end of the plan. Thank you for attending our planning session. Yeah, so we turn off the blood fountains, try and go over the top with a bunch of Wrens Resolves. If they can only refurb us 4 times in the in the whole deck, we should be fine. I think the big issue that we could run into with this plan would just be they have a Kenku Artificer and we can never deal with it. And so I don't have any Gorilla Shamans, but this is a travesty. So we can fire off another Reckless Impulse or Wrens Resolve. We've got 3. If they Hydroblast it, they Hydroblast it. I don't think we can afford to not do anything with our mana. If we do it now, we can hit an artifact land, for example. Yep. I think if an opponent leads on 3 Mirrodin lands and 2 blood token, 2 blood fountains, you should be handed 3 what do you call it? Gorilla Shaman. Let's try Wrens Resolve again. Do you have a 3rd Hydroblast? No. Finally run out. And I think we're just going to be mana efficient, play the Flame Breather. Again, if they do the Clan Tox thing, it's a bit of a shame that they get this as well for free. But we've got so many, we've got an extra 4 cards in our hand, so we need to spend our mana on something. So again, I think they kind of have to do this now if they're toxin analysising rather than go to our turn. But again, we recover quite nicely. It's only 3 life. I would quite like to draw a relic sooner rather than later. And we can rebuild them. We have the technology. Again, although this is kind of pretty potentially underwhelming as just a 1 mana 1/1 haste, the fact that it replaces itself is very on theme. It doesn't have to chip in for much in that case, and it can block in other matchups. It's a great blocker. Opponent is doing their bit to draw back up as well. They sacked their first blood fountain. I don't actually realise that straight away. So, what do we want to do here? Kind of want to attack, see if they do eat a guy, kill a guy, and then we can play the Burning Prophet after combat and the Wrens Resolve. If we hit a haste creature, we might miss out on some damage. But I think there's a somewhat chance they blast here. Yeah. So that kind of worked out. This is a shock that buys itself back so far. So a Burning Prophet first. This is our refurb food. Don't know whether they kind of wanted to keep the blue mana up now. So don't want to see a land. Oh, well, do want to see a land that we can scry to the bottom. Yeah, they blast this as well. So bottom this. So we're kind of set up for next turn with the Wrens resolving. We can spread down a creature, although they do have the blood fountain. And then this is our refurb food. Getting through a lot of their Reckoner's bargains. Not gaining too much life off of them. Again, don't really want to see. I was going to say, I don't really want to see a Kenku. Refurb is kind of fine. I don't really want to kill this until we find a what do you call it? Until we find a relic. I think we can afford to be slightly inefficient on mana to wait for that. So let's Wrens resolve first. Okay. Yeah, because I think otherwise I probably would have let this sit in play. As crazy as that might sound. It's a shame that the synth's hanging out in our hand. To be snapped off by a another refurb, but let's tap this now for what that's worth. Obviously we're incredibly unlikely to get through all of this stuff in their graveyard to get to the creatures, but don't ask, you don't. What you don't ask, you don't get. Don't try, you don't get. If they don't have a refurb and we can synth next turn, then we're kind of, you know. I guess sorry. We're not far off keeping up with them in terms of total numbers of cards seen through our deck. If they don't synth next, get rid of the synth next turn. This is an extra 2 cards. So it looks like we're going to pull ahead on the total numbers of cards seen metric, which is obviously, as everyone knows, the true way of deciding who wins a game of Magic. It's not about life total, it's about how many cards you drew. Do I want a Flame Breather first? Or synth first? It's 1 damage from the Flame Breather. But if we Flame Breather synth and then hit like a Wrens resolve, we can't cast it, so let's synth. Again, really don't want to be tapped out of 1 mana for the Relic. So now we can Flame Breathe, bolt them. So we have to bolt them because this is going away. And we're still holding up our Relic. Can't say I was expecting him to stick around. Go ahead. I see. It's the old trading Crackland Shaman. Nice to get a, always good to have a refurb bait in your hand. Refurb food. We'll attack, see what we exile, and then probably end up synthing if it's not good. It's not good. So we can play until the end of our next turn, so we can synth first. In case we hit a land off this. Or another synth. Into a land. Knew it. So yeah, play this one again. Whatever we do, don't tap out of 1 mana for the relic. So we are now ahead of them on cards with what, 2 in the bank, let's say 3 in the bank. He can't block. I've got a 2/2 now. That's a nice draw. I think we attack first because I feel like they're quite likely to crack. They've got no cards in hand. Sorry, crack some artifacts. No, they just take. Are they what? Plot? Not sure what you're doing. Just an extra step on, sack some artifacts to kill this. I feel like the chances are reasonable that they concede to this reckless impulse. Okay. The old chump. Play this one. We've gotten through a bunch of their Crackland Shamans, so I'm a bit less worried about them being able to sweep us up compared to where I was. Well, I guess a makeshift munitions is pretty nice here. Don't know if it's still in their deck. I mean, Wellspring into Offering is a nice draw. I will give you that. The game is on. I've forgotten to relic you. This is probably just bad manners, isn't it? I should probably stop. Like, the chance of it doing anything is so small. I think I'm going to draw my card now. It's not a bad draw. That's not a bad draw either. So let's play our mountain, get an out attack. Just start blasting. And I assume this has done it. So yeah, I guess this feels like it's a good game for showing what I was talking about trying to achieve with this deck, where you actually just bought into a really slow grindy deck and just go over the top of them. Having the relic up, I think they sacked one blood fountain early, and then we played the relic. So if they relicked and got back a refurb and Crackland, it could have been a very different game. But yeah, they only saw one refurb overall. Some points we had cards that we could have discarded relatively easily, but for the others we didn't. Yeah, got to do the thing, just outground Affinity. Worked like a charm. Right, so we are on the play again in round 3. We have our customary Goblin Tomb Raider and Clockwork Percussionist, so we're going to keep. I think unfortunately we probably can't play them. Play the Tomb Raider on turn 2 unless we draw a second one. If we're really unlucky and draw a second one, we can. Otherwise, it's. Well, let's see what they're doing. I think it's Burning Prophet time. So, do I attack for one first into an intruder? I mean, if they just intruded me, they get to kill our guy. So they've not intruded. We're in blockers. You're not like high tiding again, are you? I feel like I recognise this name from some of the 5-0 dumps. I'll have to see what they're on. No 4 spikes. Good. So either Terror or High Tide is kind of the read. Would much rather it be Terror. So again, I want to use my. Want to get some damage on the board. Play around counterspell. I don't think they're ever going to counterspell a Tomb Raider. Then it kind of puts us in an awkward position with the synth where we've not got too many spells we want to play into it straight away. I think we'll just Tomb Raid. get into combat. And then we'll play the Flame Breather post-combat. Again, if it's Terror and they're holding out Counterspell, then I think we're pretty, I think our hand's pretty good. I've not seen this art before. Or this kind of particular art and thing combination, art and frame. So I think I'm going to lead on the synth this time. Again, we get our trigger. Another counterspell out. Perfect. And then the question of do we Flame Breather or Impulse? This could be a Spell Pierce, so I think we just Flame Breather. Confirm everything is Terror. And then we're going to synth, I'd most ideally flip a land. Three, 4, 5. They're still not completely on 1-mana snakes. If they're tapping out for that and we get to go digging for burn spells, and just freely chump attack, get some damage in, I think we are pretty likely to kill them this turn. Guess we're quite far away from a Metalcraft is the downside. So if we lead on synth, if we top this, we kind of need to find a land for the impulse. This is, so they're going to 8, they go to 4, block go to 2. This is kind of rough. We've got 3 looks at a land for with the Burning Prophet. I think we top this. We can also just attack with the Percussionist now. I guess that we don't want to kind of go to our attack first. So really kind of want to see a land. This is tricky because this is a bolt next turn. I'm going to bottom that, be greedy. Well, there's the land that we were on about. So definitely bolting them. They go to 4. Definitely bottoming this. Go to 3, sorry. And then we're just passing back. It's going to take them a long old time to kill us. They can't gain life, and then we've got another, essentially 2 cards banked. They have to attack through. They've used 2 counter spells. Obviously, Spell Pierce is quite annoying. What if I'd have kept the bolt on the Reckless Impulse, they'd have been dead because we had 2 lands. I think I bottom this. Whether rightly or wrongly, I think I'm more interested in the Burning Prophet over the other one, just because the cards that we see. No attacks. Just think, like, play a bunch of things and scoop. Good. So let's bring in all our relics. Let's bring in all our red blasts. And I don't think we want Screds. I think the Scred Dream is maybe we do. The Scred Dream seems a bit far. Like 5 snow-covered mountains is a lot of snow-covered mountains. Chain Lightning going for like they don't have that much life gain, so Chain Lightning going for the face is more reasonable. It's not like we're the Scred kind of go long plan. I think is better. Against a deck that can gain a lot of life and you're just trying to trade 1 for 1 and then win eventually. I guess that we're still kind of in that situation, but it's just it can be dead if we don't well have a creature that it can kill, which is either going to be because they're all too big, or we don't have enough. They're all 5/5s, or they just don't have a creature in play. Wow, not doing very well at talking today. So I'll cut the end of festivities. That's an easy start. Maybe I am just cutting the chain lightnings anyway. They're kind of the worst bolt effects. And maybe on the draw, cut the Tomb Raiders. Again, we're not actually that good at Tomb Raidering, although we've just added 4 more artifacts. And they kind of just get gummed up by what the opponent is planning to do. And they're basically turning into a more of a burn deck with they're broadening out our burn spells. What have we turned it into? What are we doing here? Who knows? But I'll keep the percussionist because these again they block a snake for a turn and draw a card, so that's not nothing. Cool. Yeah. Maybe I'll bring in the Tomb Raiders on the play. Don't think we can afford to keep this. I think we can very much afford to keep this. And kind of tempted to put back a percussionist and just not commit to not doing anything. Maybe it's the 3rd land. It can't be the impulse. The impulses are great. I guess it's a land. How many points does a percussionist need to get in to be worth it? And it's going to flip something later. Versus actually missing our 3rd land drop and never being able to like multi-spell in a turn. Is that wild to put back this? It's probably going to get in for like 3 damage. Yeah, it probably is. It's probably just the land. And if we get punished, we'll never talk of it again. Yeah, 3 damage, draw a card later on is just pretty decent. Again, not against drawing Relics of Progenitus. Relics of Progeniti. They get hilarious in multiples. Depending on what we draw, I don't think we're going to have the luxury not to slam an impulse. Nice shuffle. I mean, opponent shuffling is not a bad sign for us. Well, we definitely don't have the luxury not to impulse. But do we have the luxury to find a land off of it? Otherwise, we might be well, hopefully this just gets countered. Yeah, Blue Blast over Spell Pierce. Oh, getting it Blue Blasted wouldn't have felt bad at all. Getting it Spell Pierce does feel a bit bad. So again, we're very likely to just fire off a impulse on our turn. I stand by what I said. It's a bit of a shame that we fire this off into a counterspell. They counterspell, then they play a terror. Is there anything we can do other than that? Like, the alternative is they don't counterspell, they like brainstorm, thought scour, and just go to town, so. Yeah, if we had the third land over, well, I guess it helps we drew 2 more impulses, but if we had the third land over the third or fourth impulse, being able to red blast whatever this might be would be quite nice. Yeah. Opponent is never going to believe their eyes. Does this one stick? No. Just wait till you see next turn, buddy. But yeah, this is so. I feel like the draws did not line up for the mulligan decision that we made. Let's put it like that. I guess we blocked to try and find a land earlier. Okay, a basically uncastable red blast. That's quite rough. Because I would very much like to be. I would very much like to be using the bolt on a Delver Secrets rather than the red blast. But I guess this is the world that we're living in. We red blast this, play a percussionist block, take 5, and just try and find a land that way. Not a fan. Again, the joys of a third land have been escaping us. I'm pretty happy with red blasting or blue blasting that, to be honest. I think obviously we know our hand that we can deal with the Delver quite easily. If they saved it and then when we tried to kill, like, deal with one of these terrors that they know we're going to have to do, and then stopped that after we paid for board, that seems like a kind of guaranteed win for them. Okay. So I mean, I think we just have to bolt, don't we? Is that basically losing, and we have to kill one of these? Hope this doesn't flip. Only take 5. Maybe that's better. We'll stop in their upkeep. So everything's kind of gone according to plan. Guess we can let this one resolve. I don't know, if the pass priority to us, they've already lost their chance to brainstorm or something in response. We'll kill a snake, or try and kill a snake. No, another one. No fun for us. Oh, but okay. So they kill this before they counter before we paid for ward, so we do get to kill these 2. don't think it's likely to matter. I think we're just going to get run over by the two. The chance that we can make two blockers next turn is pretty small. And I'm not even sure I really want a Reckless Impulse and flip over a Relic now anyway. Like, risk flipping over a Relic now anyway. Like, it doesn't look like they're on a Knolls. Don't really want them to bring that in. Yeah. So, I think, unfortunately, we have to ping that as a bad mulligan decision. Or, like, we definitely lost as a consequence of our mulligan decision. Whether it was bad or not is probably another matter. It's very hard not to keep all of the Reckless Impulses you can find, isn't it? So if I want the Tomb Raiders, what might I not want? Might I not want the Flame Breathers? Are these just kind of too likely to get kind of trade badly on mana? I'm not sure. Not sure I like that. Maybe I cut some bolts. Yeah. Bolts are only particularly good against the Delvers, and then we've got the the Tomb Raider making them block a Delver is better than bolting it, so let's give this a go. Kind of as mentioned, what are we now? We're not a burn deck. We pulled out all of our burn spells. So that's not a good hand. That's also not a good hand. Don't think we can keep that. This is a beauty. Like, unironically, just fantastic. So keep this. Put back. It's got to be Percussionist Galv Blast, right? Can't believe that after all that, after the hardship of last game, we get rewarded by another double Tomb Raider, and this time with the Relic back up. What's not to like? I guess Blue Blast. Blue Blast is what's not to like. No Blue Blast. Oh, what's not to like? I might be wrong, but it feels like it's going to be pretty hard to lose this game. All my draws are good. They're either, I was going to say, they're either more lands or more spells. But if they can't, if they can't play play snakes to block these, and they're relying on, they might have two Blue Blasts, but they're relying on, spells for interaction now, and we're underneath the bulk of them. 4 damage a turn is pretty nuts. To play out a land again, we might find a Reckless Impulse, for example, where having lots of lands in play is good. No reason to keep them. We'll try and get this Brainstorm before, if they thought scan response or something. Maybe yeah, I should have done this in their upkeep. Weird. Well, didn't actually matter because all of these are spells as well. We're not at the point that we need to crack yet, so this is going to be 4. Could go up to 6, which is the first snake. So we kind of have to crack. That's a shame. I was hoping to get one more turn out of this, but turning it into a card as well isn't the end of the world. Sorry, isn't the end of the world. So I don't want to see a bunch of instants again. 2 is fine. I was going to say, basically, don't want to draw, like, whatever spell we would possibly play there was 100% getting countered anyway. Oh, is this their blue blast? That's one of them. One blue blast is fine, 2's back to being a bit tricky. After drawing both lands, we can't like punish them for tapping out to kill all our guys. 1's fine, don't mind 1. This is 3, 4, and 4 lands, so they can, well, they can terror the hard way, but obviously I think that's unappealing for them. So 6, terror's very cheap. Go to our turn. I think we found a way to. Ooh, get yeah. I was gonna say I think we found a way to lose. We're just kind of gonna play out our land again. I think they're gonna struggle to want to attack. Just yet is our kind of only benefit. But assuming they've got some counters in hand, then they've kind of covered the first good card we draw. So we're not going to be able to chain together multiple hits. Right, so that crashed out. What were we saying? Yeah, so I don't think they're likely to tap out of like a red blast mana. I really don't want to see the attack, so that implies they have another creature fairly strongly. Maybe not, but I would think so. Okay, just racing. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to tap out of red blast and so on. Red blast will counter spells, and they've got a few cards in the bank. Let's say we're unlikely to be able to multi-spell them. And they've got like the first Wrens sort of covered. I think we just have to Tomb Raid here. Expect they counterspell this. Actual factual. Yeah. This turn they actually had the mana spare to do this. I think if we'd waited till we had more cards in hand to try and, use that as a bait spell. Okay, so Red Blast on this. So I think this is kind of going the way I need it to. I need these not to both be good, and I need us to draw 2 things to make up for the 2 lands. They drew a land, which is kind of on the right track for us. Then we draw something good. It's not bad. That's not good though. So we are covered by a single red blast. We can maybe beat like a bunch of spell piercers. But so it goes.
So not completely technically dead. We bolt this doesn't flip. So you're saying there's a chance? Oh, no. The Hydroblast would have killed us anyway. So, yeah, this was a bit of a weird game. We actually didn't draw any of our, any of our kind of card advantage spells, did we? Again, the opponent's winning the card C metrics. I might have to look back, but I don't think there's anything I would do differently. I think it's just how the cookie crumbled. Probably the only decision we made was cracking the relic when we did, but that still bought us an extra turn out of the Cryptic Serpent. Yeah, I think we had to crack the relic then. Anyway, good game, and to round 4. So I'm going to keep this. Again, not a great Tomb Raider deck, so can't be too embarrassed. At least we have one. Better than the poor people who can't draw them. Oh, there's a magnetic. What's this going to be? Highland Delver. Well, it's a great first end of a turn too slow. I think we're just going to resolve our flame breather though. Just race the Delver. No flips is what we like to see. I also don't mind them pondering sorcery speed. We've got a decent shot at resolving something next turn. They don't shuffle. Or we can bolt this and play around Spell Pierce. Well, I'd rather than block than we use up a bolt on it, so let's lead with attacks. What if I... So I don't think I'm actually too worried about the Delver. I don't really want to give them a chance to use like a Spell Pierce or something now. Let's see what you put on top. Mental note. I think I'm happy to bolt this, and if they counterspell, they counterspell. Almost what I'm worried about is them going mental note, terror. So they've got 2. Holding up a counterspell for a Wrens resolve or whatever we draw. Again, not fantastic for us. Do we want this or not? I'm inclined to say not, because basically all of our good draws are Wrens resolves and synthesizers. So Let's bottom it. Well, glad we didn't keep on top. The second one, although that's a lot of damage for casting spells, if you don't draw any spells because we were drawing as Flame Breathers, that doesn't work so well. So this looks like the snake turn. Just one and holding up mana. Again, not drawing the amount of card advantage bits that we would choose to. This is a blocking gang. Not going to throw away a Flame Breather for 4 damage. I genuinely might block with the attack. So Demon Fury guys don't tend to be on boomerangs, snaps, and so on. So if I block with everything, they kill these two, leave us two. Have to tap some more mana for creature again. I don't think it's getting much better for us. So we're bottoming this. Again, we are just praying for a Wrens resolve to get us going. Yeah, I'd rather they spend 2 mana on this than have a hold up counterspell that they can use to, blank our good draw. Is reliant on having that good draw though. Let's play our land again. If to get there, we do need to chain together multiple spells. I wanted to keep one spell back so they had something to think about in terms of what they countered. But obviously, the utility on that is pretty low when we're just not casting any spells, especially when it's so obvious what a good spell is. Okay, not quite going to plan. Do we draw 4 spells? 6 lands. Okay, that's just going to happen some amount of the time. Kind of digging for a draw spell. Okay. Saying there's a chance. What, we play this into a spell pierce? How they pause makes me think they've got a spell pierce. If we play the Wrens Resolve now and they spell pierce it, we just lose, right? Basically, no, okay, I kind of like play this, play the Furnace, block, bolt, flip a bolt, just try and burn them out from there. We can kill this, but there's nothing we can flip that allows us to kill that guy. Right, so we're back on a bunch of relics, bunch of red blasts. We don't want a bunch of chain lightnings and the festivities and I think I was getting 2 bolts because we're on the relics. Sorry, 2 bolts to be on the Tomb Raiders, which are better now that we've got the relics. Sure. Do I want a Crimson Fleet Commodore? I mean, part of the plan is that they're gonna attack me some. I'm gonna attack them some. I don't think we want this. We'll just trade. But it also just gets countered. At the end of the day, I think one card doesn't matter. But I think the a 4-mana spell isn't really where I want to be. The Great Furnace, double Tomb Raider. That is a keep. Just every time. Imagine if we were playing like the full-on burn plan with this number of Tomb Raider stats. Insane. So I'm kind of thinking that actually playing the Flame Breather and getting that blasted is just slower than more Tomb Raiding. Like, you kind of got to blast one of these, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're bolting them in our, with how our hand is, I'm pretty sure we're bolting them. Try and turn the screws. So this is a kind of difficult spot. I don't really want to play the Flame Breather into a counterspell or whatever. Synth's got a lot of misses. But just deal 5, so just deal 5 to them isn't amazing either. 6 down to 4, maybe just don't give them a target. Maybe this is wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they play a serpent, I'll probably just kill that. Unless they leave up mana as well. So maybe we should have just played a Flame Breather so that they had to. I think we're too far away from Metalcraft to worry about maximising that. Maybe we should have played the Flame Breather so they could double Thought Scour. So we lead on Synth. Kind of tricky. They could Spell Pierce this. I'll play around the Spell Pierce for the chance of drawing a land. See if this is in play, we can crack it. So, this guy's on it all. Well, I get to get our guy red blasted the other way. So, not in a terrible spot. I think we're fair. So, this is like, please play Cryptic Serpent. Please draw Wrench Resolve. Yeah, okay, now we're in a terrible spot. So we go to 4, they've got a counter spell to cover whatever we draw. This was so rough. Maybe this matchup is this bad, but it feels like we got pretty. Feels like we got pretty unlucky. I don't know. Right, so we are back for round 5 with another keep. Got a Burning Prophet hand, and I'm assuming this is John Wildfire. So this is, again, when we're kind of going to be sideboarding into a very slow, bring in these spreads and so on. So we can play the Burning Prophet, it's probably just going to die, but I guess if they kill that, they're not playing a, what's it called? Chrysalis. Or maybe this is the best of both. Maybe it's not dying and they're not crystallizing. I think we're bottoming this. Again, I kind of do just want to make every land drop from now on, but that's a better way of achieving that. Do I want to bolt now for an extra point of damage and a scry? If we hold it, what are we kind of getting from that? Not a ton. Yeah, I think we bottom again. So I'm not unhappy to draw lands, but I don't think I'm happy enough to want to prioritise keeping them. It's like if this was just a normal land, I'd almost be happier. But until we crack it and draw, then it's going to be really good. I promise. So I think we're more likely than not going to be pointing a lot of these burn spells at their face. Kind of want to top this and just go again, or at least have it available for next turn. It's going to take them a long time to kill us, potentially. So I don't think we're tomb raiding that can't really attack profitably. Great Furnace, Chain Lightning you, top another one. Chain Lightning now, the idea was that we could attack with this if they block to pump it. Then we Galv Blast this down. Otherwise we just kill a spawn. And I mean, I'm not against it. Whenever you get an opportunity to kill a Chrysalis, I know that they're 8 and this is half their life, but hard not to kill the Chrysalis. And now we're going to get 2 anyway. This is kind of just stop them. So I'll be keeping this. We are still interested in burning them out, but just their ways back into it if they have a Chrysalis in play. Like, play another one, sack a bunch of spawns, toxin analysis it. Something can happen, or I think if they've not got it in play, they have to now catch back up on the board as well as be able to gain some life. Bitter Reunion. Oh, are you the Pila-pala deck? Am I being pity-palled? A sneaky Pila-pala? Must be. Oh, I don't want to win this. Maybe we don't have to worry about that. Who knows? 3. Wrens resolve. Now I'm going to top the land. I have too many lands. I guess we chain lightning them. They just, force them to block. 5. Get another scry. Don't see any reason. Don't see anything we really gain from doing something else. So I still like keeping that land on top, thinking that. So let's think this through. I still like keeping that land on top, thinking that if we drew another 1 mana, we've got a bunch of 1 mana spells, even 2 mana spells, if not the Tomb Raider. No, the Tomb Raider was already exiled. It was 2 lands we hit. But it just kind of gives us so many more options. I still like killing the Chrysalis over hitting their face. Maybe that is wrong, but again, it's kind of how I prefer playing, I guess. And I don't think I'm not really sure on the Pila-pala combo thing, but it's 2 mana for the creature, 1 to give it haste, 3 to enchant it, right? So that seems too dear. So I think here, Skreds and a Commodore. Are they? Why am I going on about them being Pila-pala? It's just because of the bit of a union. They might not be. It was the fact they didn't really play anything else. Do I want relics? I don't want chain lightning. Again, I'm either killing Chrysalis with Scred or just more instant speed interaction. Don't want to end the festivities. Maybe I can have 1 relic. Sure. Opponent has left the game for a sec. Alright. Oh, and they joined. So I'm quite happy that we have this in our hands. We don't have to exile something and embarrassingly not be able to cast it. Other than that, this hand's not fantastic, but I'm going to keep. Now you're uncastable. Okay, opponent's moved to 4, so all of my moaning about losing to mono blue is appropriately done with. Slightly anticlimactic 3-2 league then.